Here we are. It is Thursday, June 12th, 2019. And I talked about this sale a couple of times. I mentioned it, but it took a lot to sort of get it together to do a video on it because it's a very big sale. And this is the Rob Michaels sale. It's coming up on the 19th and the 20th. And then there's another sale he's doing as a timed sale on the Drouot website. It is not on Live Auctioneers, so don't scratch your head if you didn't see it. And it's not on Invaluable. It's only on the Drouot site, and that's a timed auction. The other two are live auctions, and altogether he's selling about 1,600 lots over these 3 or 4 days, and the heaviest emphasis in this sale seems to be 18th century wares. So if you're an export collector, you like armorial wares, you're interested in unusual pieces of blue and white, or you like Kangxi pieces and so forth, this is a really good sale for all of that. And there's quite a bit of jade, there's quite a few bronzes, there's quite a few pieces of cloisonne, and everything in between. Yeah, and if you've watched Rob's sales in the past, you know what I mean. He has a very, very good array of things here. You've got a lot of teapots, you've got a bunch of grisaille decorated pieces here, all 18th century, very nicely done. And then scroll down a bit more, you've got some bigger sets of things. And also in his sales, remember, he always puts together these sort of massive mega lots, of 30 to 40 pieces that can be bought for one price, obviously, and shipped. So if you're a dealer, it's something you want to pay close attention to because there's profit in lots. The bigger the lot, the more profit you tend to be able to make. And this is a sort of a sampling of what's on day one. I don't know. It's really hard to know where to sell. One of the pieces that did catch my eye was this very nice, hold on a second here, this very nice ruby back dish. Ruby backs don't turn up very often, and this is a nice one. Very well done, probably Yongzheng period. That's how they put it down, and most of them are Yongzheng. And this was a very good one. But do check on his website. A lot of people ask me about condition reports because he doesn't. Most auctioneers don't bother with condition reports in their listings on any site. I don't know why they don't. They should just put them in there. They have them, and Rob has them. He has a list of condition reports. Or a list with condition reports on them over on his own website at rmmichaels.com, and you can go in there and you can click down. He doesn't have everything, but he's got a number of them. He's got quite a few of them, and you can go through and read the condition reports. And he does include the provenance on the listings typically, and he'll re-include the provenance on the pieces if he has it over on the site under his condition reports. So the information is there if you want it. All right, you can go looking for it. I think they should include condition reports right in the listings. I think it's kind of silly not to, because they're just creating work for themselves by having to answer or send back, respond to email saying go to our website. It's on there on the list. Just either that or just say it right on the listing that the condition reports are available over there. Anyway, there's some good pieces in here. Some very, very nice teapots and whatnot. You can scroll. This is on page 3 of the sale, by the way. This is at the beginning of the sale. And down here, you've got a lot of garden stools, some big planters if you're a planter buyer. Always buy planters for your garden. There you go. And you can get them here. You have to ship them, though. A little expensive to ship. But there's some very nice Kangxi and some 19th century revival Kangxi pieces in the sale. From what I recall, there's a wide assortment of bowls, good blue to hue pieces. This one caught my eye. I thought this was a rather nice one. It has a nick out of the corner up here, but I love the pattern, love the way it's drawn. It's very loosely drawn, good colors. It's inscribed and so forth. It should do pretty well, even with the little nick out of it. The estimate's reasonable, 200 to 400 euros. That's perfectly fair. There's nothing wrong with that. And then scrolling down, they've got lime pots. There's some other Annamese wares. There's some very good Vietnamese porcelain in this sale, incidentally. If you're a Vietnamese porcelain buyer, this one I liked a lot. This great big, it's part of an altar set. Very nice looking vase, an underglazed blue. Very, very, very beautifully done all the way up to the top. It's got some little roughness around the top of it, but it's an early example. They're dating it to the 16th century, so that would be the late Ming period. I agree with that. That's about right. And it's estimated at $5,000 to $10,000 with a €4,000 opening bid, but perfectly reasonable. And then there's some painting and whatnot. And there's also this very wonderful glazed cream ground lotus pot. Wait till you see this. I really like this. This was an absolutely wonderful looking thing. There it is. It's estimated at 2 to 4 thousand euros with a 1,600 euro opener, but it's a very very elegant looking pot. I think it's beautifully done. I love the brown. I love the lotus leaves around the sides of it. There's a good shot of it, and that iron brown decoration going down it. This is a very elegant looking thing. Absolutely love it. And it measures, what is it, about 9 inches tall or something? Yeah, just about 9 inches in height. That's about right. Um, a beautiful example. So if you're interested in Annamese and Vietnamese wares, you do want to look into that. And it just goes on and on and on. There's some very nice lacquer wares, lacquer and mother of pearl, lac bagat, some cloisonne. There's some good coral. And then, as I said, there are jades and so forth. And that's just day one. And then hopping along over to day two, you see more stuff. You've got figural porcelains in here, famille rose, cockerels, and phoenixes, and so forth. There's quite an assortment of them. There's some nice femme vert examples. There's some Wutsai examples in here. And then you have all of these armorial and very fine export pieces. Very, very fine export pieces. I really, there's so many of them, you really can't go through them all. But just to give you an idea, this is one of them. This is a very nice soup plate with the arms of white on it. And these we've seen before. This particular service, it must have been an enormous service. Because we've seen this pattern before, but this layout with different armorial crests was also heavily used. There's a famous, I believe it's a Portuguese dinner service that has a very similar outside edge, and then has the crest in the center and so forth. That was done during the early 19th century. These were dated 1810, which is exactly about when they would have been done. And let's see what else there is here. Some good terrines, cruets. And then you get into some of these arrays of plates, Chinese export gilt decorated, 42 pieces of armorial in one bite. There you go. Very, very nicely done. And, you can make money with these lots. You just have to look up get Howard's book out and look up who the maker was or who the arms were for, and you can market them that way. But this is a good set. It's estimated at 8 to 12 thousand, which sounds about right for this much armorial ware. 6,500 euro opening bid. And it's a good looking lot. And then you have all these other much more elaborately done armorial pieces down below. And then you've got some other big services of famille rose, Yongchen, and Qinlong examples running through here. And snuff bottles. Lots of snuff bottles, some nice as an underglaze, looks like an underglaze red, underglaze copper, a copper red, and a white bottle. You got a flambe bottle, you got a yellow bottle here, an egg yolk yellow, beautifully done in Peking glass. And then boxes, furniture, and all this good stuff. And then you get on to things like all the furniture and chairs and whatnot. And it's just quite an array. And then at the end of the sale, he always puts in. So he doesn't always put in, but he often puts in. There's some very interesting examples of Delftware. If you like Delft, there's some good examples. Rob knows a lot about Delft, Prickett sticks and so forth, and some other types of German pottery and whatnot. But the focus of the sale is always on the Chinese works. And then you come over here, and this is the Drouot sale. And this is the time sale, which you can't get through live auctioneers are invaluable. You have to come over here. There's about 560, 570 lots roughly in this sale. And there's some very nice examples in here. You do want to get condition reports for all of it, though, because some of the pieces have some very professionally done restorations to them. But there's some excellent blue and white pieces. If you're in France, if you live in France, you may want to just hop. I don't know if these are on view at the Drouot. I think there's a schedule for viewing these pieces, and you can go and look at them on certain days. But here are just some of the examples. They're absolutely beautiful 18th century Kangxi, late Ming wares are in the sale, all that sort of thing. Very, very beautiful examples all the way down the page. You can just scroll through it almost endlessly. There are a lot of vases too. That's the other thing I noticed in this sale. If you go to the first page on page one of the first day, You're going to find a lot of nice looking vases and bigger porcelains, larger examples and pairs of porcelains and jars like these. Many of them are late 19th century. Some of them are Republic. Some of them are older. But most of them seem to be 19th century and Republic. But very good quality examples. Some of them may have some restorations to the lids, as you always find on these, but it's nothing to be too picky about, because lids get, as we all know, lids get damaged often. They're always getting dropped, broken, forgotten, and so forth. And now I understand they can use 3D printers to reproduce lids. If you have one lid left over from a broken one, you can use a 3D printer to replicate one and then get it decorated. And I guess that's something that's being done over in Europe right now. It's not unusual over there, and I think it's a good idea. Why not? If you got one lid and you want the other lid to balance the visual aspect of the piece off, have a 3D printer make you one and get it decorated and be done with it. So here you are. And then down here to the bowls, some very nice Famille Jaune pieces. These are typically second half of the 19th century examples and so forth. So do look into that. There's a lot to look at. That's the bottom line here. And for me to cover it all in a video, I'd be here for about a week. Because there's just so much material being sold. There's just so much stuff in these 3 days of sales. It's absolutely huge. Trying to think of which day I prefer. I think the second day. Well, the first day's got some great things in it, and the second day has some great things in it. This is the second day sale. There's some nice Zijou pieces in here, some nice Sung pieces, and so forth. Hairs for bowls, celadons. This I had looked at last week. This is rather nice, four chimney pot, probably from the Yuan dynasty. There's a couple of other good examples in here as well, bowls and so forth. As you know, you get the figure. You have to go to Rob's site or go over to Live Auctioneers and look it up. Go to the Drouot if you want to look at the things there. The Drouot sale is also linked off of Rob's site. All right, so if you're at Rob's site, you can click the Drouot link and go over there. And as I said, the condition report list is also on Rob's site. So if you want to pull up condition reports, you can do that. You can go through them and see what looks good to you. Because some people aren't bothered by repairs all that much, and some people are. So it's a good idea to know if it is restored before you decide to bid, obviously. And if it's not on there, you're going to have to ask them for a condition report on the piece. All right. And then while I had mentioned I was going to do this, take a look at this sale to remind everybody that's coming up. We've talked a bit about it in the past few weeks anyway. A number of people have emailed me with pieces that are in the sale that a few people said, well, I don't understand. I thought that already sold. So we're going to go through some of the lots that have been in previous sales that you may have seen before. And one of the pieces, I got a couple of emails about this plate. Now, this is a plate that sold at Woolley and Wallace. When was this sale? This sale was back in 2022. And people remember this plate. And it was a very, very rare type of kung shi dish. Here's the back of it. As you can see, it's fairly a wreck. But everybody remembered it because it had a very small estimate of 1,000 to 2,000 pounds. And it ended up selling for 32,000 pounds back then. And somebody bought it, got it restored, and have put it into Rob's sale. And here it is. Now, the condition report mentions that it was restored. Okay, this isn't something they're hiding. There it is. All right, and it's absolutely unbelievably white. How clean it is. And the details all look good. And in the report, it says you can barely see the marks. The only way you can really tell it's restored is by shining a very, very, very bright, strong light through the plate, and you'll see the damage. You'll see all the old breaks here, because this thing had a lot of breaks. Looks like it hit everything but the lottery. There's a chunk missing out of the corner up here. There is a V-shaped break over here. There's a crack through the middle of it, and down here at the bottom there's a sort of a U-shaped crack with two halves, a smaller break there, another crack there, and some edge roughness. I mean, this thing had really been banged around, but it came from a very good collection. That may be part of the reason why it brought so much money the first time too. These always bring a lot of money, but this had belonged to Oliver and Pay, the famous keeper of the Ashmolean collection, and he had books and things. He was a wizard on Japanese blue and white wares and so forth, as you know. And someone picked this plate up, got it cleaned up and restored, and here it is. So it brought 32,000 at the Woolley and Wallace sale, and I'm assuming the restoration probably cost $4,000 or $5,000, and it's in this sale now with a 24,000 euro opening, $27, 27,000 US or 24,000 EU starting price, with an estimate now of 30 to 60,000. So we'll see what it brings, because the guy, whoever the guy is that bought this, he's into it for about 37 or so thousand, I would think, at this point. So it'll be interesting to see if it goes for at or below what he had paid for it. And then there's this plate. Now this bowl, somebody asked me who buys Vietnamese blue and white. We're confused at why this was in the sale, because it was in a previous sale a couple of years ago, in 2022, and it sold for 48,000 euros plus premium, or around $60,000. So something must have happened, didn't get paid for. I don't know what happened exactly, and it's back in this time now with a 20 to $40,000 euro estimate and a starting price of 16. And in this sale, it had a $4,000 to $8,000 euro estimate in 2022. So the estimate went up quite a bit after it brought 48,000 plus premium. It's now back in here, and the estimate now has been raised considerably to 20 to 40,000. And we'll see if it goes. Blue to U pieces can bring a lot. They're very, very popular. But if somebody did pay that 60,000 for it, I can't imagine why they would reconsign it 2 years later at basically at an opening price of an estimate of less than half of what was paid for it the first time around. That's sort of a mystery. That's sort of a strange circumstance. And then you have this vase, and the same person that noticed the Kang Shi plate mentioned this, because this vase was sold just this past December at Sotheby's in a lot. And here's the lot. This was the sale. And it brought 72,000 euros in this sale. The one in the middle is perfect. That's the one that's in the Rob Michael sale. So presumably, we have to assume that somebody bought this lot and decided to sell off the perfect one. And I believe you're going to find that you may see the ones on the left and the right, turning up at some auction, because they're probably out getting restored as we speak. And they will turn up somewhere. Who knows where? But the one in the middle is the one that's is on offer here, and it's estimated at 20 to 40,000 euros with a 16,000 euro opening bid. We'll see how that does, but it is the same one that sold, part of the same lot that sold 6 months ago at Sotheby's over in where was this sale? Asian art sale. Where was this auction? Just says sold in euros. Usually when they're in Europe, it was sold in Paris. Okay, it was in a Paris sale, and sold for 72,000 euros. Okay, I was wondering, because usually Sotheby's sales were generally listed in pounds, but I forget sometimes they do they do sales also in Paris. And these were sold. They did very, very well. Let's see if the other one does as well. And then you have this funny story about this tortoise. One of our bronze collectors saw this and looked at it. It's a very nice bronze. Now, it's interesting because Rob points out that it was sold back in 1968 as a Sung example at Sotheby's, lot number 18. And they have the catalog listing and all that. And this is sort of an interesting thing, because today everybody would consider this most likely to be a Ming example, and for good reason, because Christie's sold this bronze in 2008 for $15,000, and they listed it as Ming. And I have a feeling that what's happened is that the debate is still going on whether these pieces are Sung or Ming. To me, it looks very Ming, and Rob's people are sticking with the original description that it was sold when it was sold back in 1968 as being Sung. But Christie's, in their looking at it, disagreed and put it up as a Ming example, being 17th or 18th century. So that's sort of a different thing. What's curious is that this was easy to find, this listing here. When the fellow that did it, he did a Google image search and turned this up right away. And but he pointed out that the Christie sale is not mentioned in the provenance. It just says acquired from Sotheby's in July 2nd, 1968, and So maybe when it was in the Christie sale, it didn't get paid for. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I didn't. I noticed that he's right that the Christie sale wasn't mentioned in this line from 2008, and it was very easy to find. And then the last thing is this: the big pair of Kangxi vases. Many of you seen these before. They've been around for a while. They've been in a couple of sales. Sort of bouncing around the market. Here they are. They were sold in 2021 at Christie's. They brought 75,000 pounds, which is about $90,000. And now they're on offer here, estimated at 50 to 100,000 with a 40,000 euro opening bid, or $46,000 US. So we'll see how they do. But I think these had been in a previous Michael sale. And there's a couple of others. The swirl vases have been in the swirl vases in the sale, which are very nice. Have been in a couple of Rob sales, and they were also sold at Sotheby's once, as most of you know. So we'll see how they do this time. I think this is the third time they've been on the market in the last 3 or 4 years. But that's just the nature of the market these days. They're all good pieces. So we'll see how it all goes. I like the turtle bronze. I don't know if it'll bring what it brought in 2008 at the beginning of that big surge in the market. It may do better than that. Right now, it's sort of lagging here. It's gotten only 9 people watching it, but it may do well in the end. I don't know. But it's an interesting auction regardless. This is a very interesting base. This and it's got the Johannium mark on it, which is for Augustus the Strong. This thing on the bottom, that number, the way it's written was how Augustus the Strong, the famous collector, king of Saxony or whatever he was, who traded he was the guy that was responsible for the term the soldier vases, because or dragoon vases, because he traded 500 soldiers and their horses and their weapons, 500 soldiers and horses for a collection of Kangxi wares, these giant Kangxi vases. Well, he numbered all of his porcelains in his collection, written in this kind of script, and apparently these were in that collection as well. And there was good provenance for that, to make that claim, because anybody can write anything on the bottom of a vase. It's not hard. But they had some history on there's some history on the family that had owned it. The collection of it was the restored collection of the Strauss family. They had gotten the pieces back after some sort of dispute, and as the legitimate longtime heirs to this part of this collection of some kind. So anyway, that's all legitimate, and so that's it. So we'll see how these do. I'm going to be very curious to see how this plate does, with that giant amount of restoration and actually replacement of part of it, because there's a section over on this side here that was actually missing, so they had to reconstruct it to get it whole, because they didn't show the piece in the photograph when they sold it at William Wallace, so presumably they didn't have it. But this is all just part of it. You can always, if you see a piece, just so you know, if you see a piece in an auction and you think it looks familiar to you, there's a very good chance that if you put it into Google Lens, go to Google, upload the image click the little camera on the search bar, you're very likely to find that piece if it's particularly has particularly identifiable characteristics to it. And Google Lens is getting better and better and better all the time with AI. So I think pretty soon there will be nothing. Nothing will be secret anymore, because I did double check on a number of these, and it found all of them in a matter of seconds. And it's a good way to verify too. Sometimes, has the piece been on the market before? Because if it's on Live Auctioneers or Invaluable and that sort of thing, they tend to linger. The images stay online forever, or typically seem to stay online forever. So you can always find things when you're looking them up. All right, but do check out the sale. It's got some very interesting aspects to it. There's some nice blue and white pieces in there and so forth. And I think the sale will do pretty well. And these are the swirl vases that were been in and out of auctions. The last time around, I thought they were on Rob's. I think they brought about 17 or 18,000, and they had sold at Sotheby's or Christie's before that for around that same price, and now they're back again. They, as I recall, had a couple of nicks around the top of the vases, but they were overall in good conditions. I don't think there's anything to worry about with them too much, I don't think. But We'll see how they do this time. How many times can you put it through the cow? I don't know. But it doesn't change. When you see relistings, don't let it bother you too much, because relistings can happen for any number of reasons. And it isn't always because of there's not necessarily anything wrong with the piece. It's often just because somebody didn't pay for it. They had a dispute about the commissions. Who knows? It could be anything. But the piece, if the piece was good in one auction, it's around, and you know all the facts about it, and you still like it, you still should probably buy it, because these kinds of things happen in the auction market, as we've all seen many, many, many times. And sometimes you can get an absolutely great buy the second time through. So maybe you might be able to bargain on this one. And just so you know, don't forget, there's another one of these with a darker enamels, with this the sort of Venetian glass swirls running down them, in the Friedman sale, which we're going to do a video on. That's coming up after this one. It's coming up on the 26th or the 7th of this month. There's some good looking things in that sale as well. So anyway, check out the auction. It looks good. And take a look at that plate that was all restored. It's pretty amazing. And then I think we should all maybe keep our eyes peeled to see when the other two of these vases come onto the market. And it may be a chance to put them all three back together again if you buy the first one. All right. Have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with the weekly video. Subscribe if you haven't. All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.